So, something that has proven to be a fairly endless sense of joy for me is the advent of AI because I get to just ask it all sorts of questions. And no, I don't have to take its words for sure. In fact, there have been a lot of times where I have asked for lists of poems about X, Y, or a Z just to get a brainstorm for where to go next on the channel. And ChatGPT in particular will give me lists of titles and authors that simply don't exist. They are completely fabricated by the artificial intelligence. But I do notice that when you're asking about a specific writer, oftentimes you will get some interesting answers. And I asked Grok, pardon me, on X/Twitter for some underrated Emily Dickinson poems. And the first thing that it did was it gave me all of the big Emily Dickinson poems that you've seen on the channel over and over again. And then I said, Grok, those are the obvious choices. Grok apologized and said, here are some others. And this poem stuck out. I know I've read this poem before. The moon is distant from the sea. I've never really paid it much attention. Even in the hallowed pages of Emily Dickinson, sometimes I am lulled into passivity, which is ironic for the poem in question today. Welcome to Strip Cover Lit, where we squeeze the bigger picture out of literature. I'm Adrian Fort, and we are here for a poem which will appear in two separate playlists here on the channel. Number one being the poetry discussion list, cruising towards 650 poems strong. Number two being the Emily Dickinson playlist. It is known as The Moon is Distant from the Sea, and it reads as such. The moon is distant from the sea, and yet with amber hands she leads him docile as a boy along appointed sands. He never misses a degree, obedient to her eye. He comes just so far toward the town, just so far, goes away. O Signor, thine, my amber hand, and mine, the distant sea, obedient to the least command, thine eye impose on me. Now, may seem to be kind of a simple poem. Oh, okay, well, you've got the moon telling the ocean where to go, and just like the moon, you are to me telling me where to go, and I listen. Well, that's kind of weird, though, for a couple reasons. Number one, you can read all 1,775 of Emily Dickinson's poems, and I think that submission will be one of the last things that you tally. Emily Dickinson was not much for listening to someone else, was not much for submitting to someone else, was not much for taking someone else's point of view to heart. You can see that in her rhyme schemes. You can see that in her selection of subjects. You can see that in everything that she wrote. Everything that she wrote. Emily Dickinson was original. Emily Dickinson was a pioneer of the art of poetry. Emily Dickinson was a pioneer in American letters. Emily Dickinson is incomparable. Emily Dickinson is without peer. But here we have her speaker, at least, if not the poet herself, claiming submission. The way that that moon pulls those tides to and fro, letting them go just so close to the land, and then letting them travel just so far back out to sea, that is the control that you and your amber hand has over me. My hand being the distant sea. obedient to the least command thine eye impose on me. It's strange if we are to take the poet as the speaker, but maybe the poet's not the speaker. Maybe the speaker is the alter ego of the poet. Maybe this is not a general sort of malaise towards the world and being told what to do, but rather being under the special command of an individual. That's how it sounds. O Señor, thine the amber hand, and mine the distant sea. Obedient to the least command, thine eye impose on me. This is submission to one individual, one man. This is the submission to one man. Man. Why, then, do we start the poem? The moon is a she. Yes? The sea, see a good color here, is a he. Okay? The moon, a woman. The sea, a man. Here, thine the amber hand, that is the moon. The Señor is the moon, is the man. The mine is the sea. The mine in question is the woman. And I think we do have a gendered reading here, right? It's possible that this is written from a man to a man. It's possible. Yeah. But here's something else worth considering. Maybe gender is not the dividing line for our speaker here. Maybe it's something different. The moon is distant from the sea, and yet with amber hand she leads him docile as a boy along appointed sands. So the sea and the boy are one and the same here. The moon and the she are one and the same here. But there is another delineation in the text. Docile as a boy. Not docile as a man, not docile as a guy, not docile as a fella, docile as a boy. This is a child. There is a power dynamic between the moon, the she, and the sea, the him. By the time we get down here, we have Señor being the word used to address the he, the moon, the man involved. Is our speaker the junior of the he in question? Is our speaker younger than the he in question? That would seem to be the delineating factor between the speaker and the individual representing the moon. But one has to wonder if it really is an age issue, or is it just a question of being diminutive? Is it a question of our speaker feeling as if she does not belong in the same category as the moon / Señor? It's an interesting question. I don't know that we necessarily get the proper dynamics in the poem, the proper evidence in the poem to really put a clamp down on an answer for it. But man, this is a more interesting poem than I had previously given it credit. That is all I have for this poetry discussion. If you like or appreciate what it is that I do here, hitting the like button really does help me out, as it tells YouTube to share this video with other literature lovers. If you find yourself here by chance but not design, literature is the only thing I talk about on this channel, dropping multiple videos every single week. There's poetry every Monday, and I hope to have you back for the next one.